Hey everyone, welcome back. I want to tell you about this morning when I read that over 2,500 people have been killed in Iran in just 2 weeks. 2,500 human beings, mothers, students, shopkeepers, children, shot in the streets by their own government for demanding freedom. I felt my stomach drop, closed the article, made breakfast, went to work. And that's when I realized I'd become exactly the kind of person who watches mass murder happen in real time and does nothing. This is about what happens when tragedy becomes background noise, when we scroll past suffering and return to our comfortable lives, and whether we'll choose action over apathy. If you've ever seen suffering and chosen silence, this message is for you. I'm a 33-year-old accountant in Chicago. When protests erupted in Iran on December 28th, I noticed. The Iranian rial had collapsed. Shopkeepers in Tehran's Grand Bazaar closed their shops and flooded the streets. Within days, demonstrations spread to all 31 provinces. Everyone. The protests that started over bread prices became demands for freedom from 47 years of dictatorship. I watched videos during lunch breaks, massive crowds chanting "Death to the dictator," university students facing armed police, a 70-year-old grandmother among protesters refusing to back down. I felt moved, mentioned it to my wife over dinner. "It's heartbreaking," I said. "Awful," she agreed. Then we watched Netflix. That became my pattern. Check the news, feel sad, return to my comfortable life. Meanwhile, the death toll climbed. By January 7th, over 40 people were dead, including 5 children. On January 8th, the Iranian government imposed a near-total internet blackout. I knew what that meant. Governments don't shut down communications to protect protesters. They do it to hide massacres. And I still did nothing. On January 10th, reports started emerging. Iranian International reported that at least 2,000 protesters had been killed in 48 hours. Security forces had escalated to live ammunition. Hospitals were overwhelmed. Witnesses described bodies piled up on each other in hospitals. Medical staff reported running out of blood. One hospital had 200 to 300 patients with pellets lodged in their eyes. I read these reports sitting in my office. My hands shook. I felt physically sick. Then my boss called me into a meeting about quarterly projections. I closed the article and went to discuss spreadsheets. That evening, I saw a photo of an 11-year-old boy who'd been shot by security forces. 11 years old. I cried, actually wept at my kitchen table. "They're killing children in Iran," I told my wife. "Thousands of people are dead and the world is just watching." "It's terrible," she said gently. "But what can we do? We're just regular people." And that's the lie I'd been telling myself, that caring was enough, that I was powerless. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed." Not feel sad about the oppressed. Defend, seek, do. And I was doing none of those things. By January 14th, the death toll surpassed 2,571 people, including 12 children, over 18,000 detained, tortured, disappeared. I knew their names wouldn't make headlines for long. The world would move on, and these thousands would become statistics, forgotten, unless people like me, comfortable, safe, free, refused to let that happen. That night, I couldn't sleep. Iranians had been fighting for freedom for years. The 2022 Woman Life Freedom Uprising, the 2019 protests, ordinary people risking everything while the world watched. And here I was, living where I could criticize my government without being executed, where I had resources and freedom and voice, and I was using that privilege to do nothing. At 2 a.m., I got out of bed and started researching. What could I actually do? I found organizations documenting the atrocities, contact information from my representatives, Iranian activists risking their lives to get information out, ways to support refugees fleeing the crackdown. And I realized I'd been asking the wrong question. Not, can I stop the Iranian regime? Obviously not. The right question was, will I do something? Because doing nothing is also a choice. Silence enables injustice. The next morning, I made changes. I set up monthly donations to organizations supporting Iranian protesters. I contacted my representatives demanding sanctions on Iranian officials. I used social media to share verified information. I educated myself about Iran's history and the protesters' demands. Most importantly, I committed to not letting this become yesterday's news. None of it felt adequate. Over 2,500 people were already dead. Nothing I did would bring them back. But I learned something crucial. Defending the oppressed isn't about solving everything yourself. It's about refusing to be silent. It's about using whatever voice and resources you have, however small, to stand with people who can't stand for themselves. Last week, I attended a solidarity vigil in Chicago. I met a woman named Parisa, whose cousin was killed in Tehran on January 10th, 23 years old, shot in the head. "Why do you come to these?" she asked. "You're not Iranian. You're safe here." "Because Isaiah tells me to defend the oppressed," I said. "Because your cousin and 2,500 others can't speak for themselves anymore." She started crying, then hugged me. "Most Americans don't even know this is happening," she whispered. "Thank you for caring enough to show up." Her gratitude broke something in me, because I should have shown up the first day. But I'm here now, and I'm committed to staying. As I record this, the situation remains catastrophic. The internet blackout continues. The regime is consolidating control. And here's the hard truth. Most people watching this will feel momentary sadness, then return to their lives without taking action. I know, because I did exactly that for weeks. But if you're still watching, I'm asking you to be different. Donate to organizations helping Iranians. Contact your representatives demanding sanctions. Learn protesters' names. Share their stories. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed." Not fight every battle, just defend, seek, do. Over 2,500 Iranians can't defend themselves anymore. Thousands detained can't speak. Millions living under tyranny can't protest without being killed. But we can speak, we can defend, we can act, and our silence makes us complicit in their suffering. Thanks for watching. Here are today's reflection questions. When was the last time you scrolled past suffering and chose comfort over action? And what stopped you from doing something? If you had the resources and freedom this character had, what's one specific thing you could do this week to defend the oppressed in a situation you're aware of? Drop your thoughts about the story in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else facing the same choice. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories about turning awareness into action. Remember, Isaiah 1:17 doesn't say feel sad about injustice. It says defend the oppressed. What will you choose today?